You should just marry rich, Aria. That's the only way someone like you can survive." My cousin Emily laughed so loud the whole table turned. And the worst part? My dad didn't stop her. He joined in. "Before we continue, if you've ever been underestimated, insulted, or laughed at by your own family, hit subscribe, share, and leave a comment with 'Justice always wins.' You're going to want to stay till the end." The entire dining room echoed with fake laughs and clinking glasses. It was supposed to be a simple family dinner. My dad had invited his new boss and her husband to show off his perfect family. But all I heard were backhanded insults about me. "No job, no man, no life," my Aunt Linda said, swirling her wine like she was some reality TV villain. I mean, she's 28 and still living like she's in high school. I sat there smiling, cutting my chicken like their words didn't stab me. But inside, I was burning. None of them knew the truth. And I never planned to tell them. Until tonight. Aria's always been the creative type. My mom tried to defend me, but it sounded more like an excuse. She's finding herself. Finding myself? I had already built myself. While they were gossiping and wasting weekends, I was spending 18-hour days growing a tech startup they didn't even know existed. I had 14 employees, a silent office downtown, 3 trademarks, and a contract sitting in my bag worth $8.2 million. But to them, I was sweet, helpless Aria, who couldn't even pick the right salad fork. Then something happened. Dad's boss walked in late. Tall, graceful, powerful aura. She scanned the room and smiled politely until her eyes landed on me. And then she froze. She turned to my father and asked, "That's your daughter?" Dad chuckled, clearly embarrassed. "Yeah, she's trying to figure life out." The boss's smile sharpened. "That's the Aria?" Now the whole table fell quiet. Even Emily stopped chewing. "Yes," I said slowly, standing up. She walked straight over, extended her hand and said, "Ma'am, it's an honor. Your company just acquired our cybersecurity division. I've been waiting for weeks to meet the face behind the genius." My dad's fork dropped. Everyone looked like the ground had disappeared under them, and I wasn't done yet. My dad's face turned pale, like someone had yanked the air out of his lungs. He stuttered, What do you mean, her company?" His boss turned slowly toward him, keeping her voice calm but loaded with weight. "Didn't you say your daughter was still looking for direction?" "Funny, because her LLC just finalized the purchase of our cybersecurity arm. She signed the documents herself, as CEO." Emily gasped so loud it was almost comical. "Wait, you own a company? Like, a real one?" I didn't even look at her. I reached into my bag, pulled out the sleek, black folder and slid it across the table. The gold letters gleamed, Aria Tech Solutions in C. On the inside, merger confirmation, acquisition seals, and a personal thank you letter addressed directly to me from their executive board. Suddenly, my silence wasn't awkward. It was terrifying. "Aunt," Linda coughed, trying to recover. "But why didn't you tell us anything? We could have what?" I cut her off, my voice steady. "Helped, supported, believed in me when I needed it most." The silence was deafening. "I didn't say anything," I continued, "because you all made it very clear how little you thought of me. I built this, alone. Every investor meeting, every prototype, every 3 a.m. crash. Alone." Dad looked down. For the first time in my life, I saw guilt in his eyes. His boss spoke again, her voice now full of subtle amusement. "I've met hundreds of founders, but rarely one who can stay so invisible while building an empire. Your daughter, Mr. Collins, is one of the sharpest negotiators we've ever dealt with." Then she turned to me. "Actually, we'd love to offer you a board seat at the parent company. The position pays quite well, though I'm sure you don't need the money." I smiled politely, but inside, I was screaming. My entire childhood flashed in my mind. Every time I was told to be quiet, to stop dreaming so big, to act like a lady and let men lead. And now, they were watching me lead an empire. I glanced at Emily, who suddenly looked 10 years younger, small, powerless. "I'll think about the board seat," I told her calmly. "But tonight, I just came for dinner." Then I sat down, folded my napkin, and waited for dessert. But dessert never came. What came instead was chaos. The room exploded the moment the boss left. "She's lying, right?" Emily's voice cracked as she turned to my dad. "She has to be lying. There's no way Aria owns a tech company. She barely passed math." I leaned back in my chair, arms crossed, watching them scramble like mice in a burning house. "She's not lying," my dad muttered, rubbing his temples. "That folder was legit. The acquisition... I saw the documents 2 weeks ago. I just didn't know that Aria was my Aria." Mom finally spoke, her voice trembling. "Why didn't you tell us?" I stared at her for a second. "Do you remember the day I asked for a loan to build an app prototype? You laughed and said if I wanted money, I should start babysitting again." She went silent. "I coded the first version of my app on a second-hand laptop with a cracked screen," I said slowly, making sure each word hit. "I pitched 37 investors before one said yes. I've slept on the floor of my office. I've eaten canned beans for weeks. While you all were mocking me behind my back, I was building something you couldn't even spell." Aunt Linda suddenly smiled sweetly, like flipping a switch. "We're just surprised, honey. But we're so proud of you. Family means everything, right?" That word, family, tasted like ash. "Proud?" I scoffed. "You called me a leech last Thanksgiving." Dad finally stood, trying to regain control. "All right, let's calm down. This is still our house, and we're still your parents." I looked him straight in the eyes. "No, Dad, you're my blood. But tonight proved you were never really my parents." He flinched. "I'm not the same girl you all used to step over," I said. "I'm not here for approval or apologies. I came to show you exactly who I am now. And who you'll never get to dismiss again." There was a long, suffocating pause, and then Emily did something unbelievable. She stood up, grabbed her phone, and said, "Fine. If you're really that rich, maybe you'd like to invest in my fashion line. I was going to launch a TikTok store. Maybe we can partner up." I laughed. Out loud. For the first time that night. "Emily," I said, shaking my head, "I wouldn't invest in your dreams if you were the last influencer on Earth." Her jaw dropped. And just as I got up to leave, my dad's phone rang. He looked at the screen, eyes wide. Then he slowly handed it to me and whispered, It's the chairman. He wants to talk to you." The whole room stared. I took the call, smiled, and said, "Yes, Mr. Hayes. I've been expecting you." But what he said next, even I wasn't ready for that. I pressed the phone closer, my heart pounding like a drum. Mr. Hayes's voice was calm but firm. "Aria, the board reviewed your proposal overnight. They want you to lead the entire division. Your vision aligns perfectly with our next 5-year plan." The room fell utterly silent. Dad's mouth opened, but no words came out. Mom's eyes welled up, a mix of pride and shock. Even Aunt Linda's fake smile vanished. I held the phone steady. "Thank you, sir. I accept." I hung up, then turned to face them all. "While you were busy laughing at me for being nothing, I was preparing to take over the company that runs half your investments. The same company your father's boss just joined because of me." Emily's face went pale. "You're serious?" "Dead serious." I pulled out my phone and opened my email. On the screen was the official invitation. My name, my title, my new salary package. All crystal clear. You said I was nothing, I said softly. But tonight, I became the most powerful person in this room. My dad's shoulders slumped, the weight of his own mistakes finally crashing down. Aria. He started, but I raised a hand. No more apologies, I said firmly. I don't need you to believe me. I just needed to show you. I walked out of that room with my head high, knowing the game had changed forever. And the best part? This was only the beginning. The front door clicked shut behind me, but I didn't feel relief. The silence in the house felt heavier than the storm brewing inside my mind. For years, I had hidden away every late night, every rejection, every insult, building something nobody believed I could. Now, the walls that once echoed their cruelty felt like a cage cracking under the weight of my success. I sank into the worn leather chair in my small office, the city lights flickering through the blinds. My phone buzzed again. A message from Mr. Hayes. We'll schedule your first board meeting next week. Prepare to shake things up. The truth hit me. I wasn't just stepping into power. I was stepping into a battlefield. The family's disbelief was the first wave, but the real challenge was just beginning. Dad's boss had dropped a bomb at dinner, but the chairman's call confirmed I wasn't just a lucky accident. I was a force to be reckoned with, and they had to respect that. I glanced at the photo on my desk, a faded picture of me at 16, smiling shyly with no idea what lay ahead. Back then, my biggest enemy was the sneers at family dinners and the constant whispers about my worth. Now, those whispers were silenced by contracts, shareholders, and a company valued at millions. But beneath the surface, a deeper story brewed. While everyone thought I'd risen overnight, the truth was raw hours, broken promises, and sacrifices no one saw. My startup began in my tiny apartment's kitchen. I wrote code on napkins, pitched in coffee shops, and learned every failure the hard way. And tonight had been my turning point. Showing up at that dinner, wearing the quiet confidence of someone who had won a game others never knew they were playing. It wasn't just for me. It was for every overlooked girl told she'd never make it. Just as I reached for my laptop, the doorbell rang. My heart skipped. Who could it be at this hour? I opened the door slowly. Standing there was a woman I'd never met. Elegant, but with sharp eyes that missed nothing. Ms. Collins, I'm Claire Simmons, your new executive advisor. Mr. Hayes sent me. I stepped aside. She walked in like she owned the place. We've been watching you build this quietly, Claire said, scanning the room. And now it's time to prepare you for what's next. The board doesn't just want a CEO. They want a leader who can outsmart rivals, handle corporate warfare, and protect the empire you've created. Her words sent a chill down my spine. This wasn't a job anymore. It was a war zone. Are you ready? She asked, locking eyes with me. I nodded, swallowing the lump in my throat. I have to be. Claire smiled, a mix of respect and challenge. Good, because they won't give up easily. Neither should you. As she left, I looked back at the family photos on the wall. The same people who mocked me would soon watch me rise, and there was no going back. I wasn't just Aria anymore. I was the woman who turned nothing into an empire, and they'd never forget it. The real game had just begun. Days later, the family called me again. This time it wasn't to mock or belittle. They asked if I could help them with investments, legal advice, even jobs. I listened quietly, the old hurt simmering beneath my calm. I told them, I've built something none of you believed I could, but I'm not your charity. They begged for forgiveness, promises to change. I smiled. It's not about forgiveness, it's about respect, and respect is earned, not begged for. I signed a few contracts to help, but on my terms, strict, professional, and with no room for old habits. I wasn't just Aria, the nothing they laughed at. I was Aria, the woman who rose, crushed every doubt, and rewrote her own story. And the greatest victory? Knowing they'll never forget the moment my dad's boss called me ma'am, because that word wasn't just polite, it was the crown on my comeback.